So thank you so much for coming, all of you. HR Fertility is also here. We have students, we have teachers as well, and we have our eminent industry leaders also. So to start the welcome note, I would request Dr. Jaishankar sir to be on dais so that he can deliver his setting up the note for the day.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Dr. Saji Gopinath, Shri Prashant IAS, I don't know, people are all here. There's quite a bit of moving around happening, so I hope all of them is going to come in very fast, and so that we'll have a little more fuller audience to speak to. Anyway, I'll carry on with the setting up of the tone for this particular meeting, the bridging the gap thing. Last year we met, which hotel, I don't know, Apollo Demoro or some other hotel, we met and we had a lot of discussions on what are the topics that we need to take up, what is the gap between the academia outcomes and the industry expectations, what can governments do, what can the supporting or the skilling agencies do, and how can corporates get involved in the whole process. That was quite an elaborate discussion. We then broke up into smaller teams and then much more deeper brainstorming into some of those activities. And those were consolidated, and we made out some action plans on it, and then we tried to present it to people. And this was taken up by the platform, as we all have known as this particular skilling collective called MuLearn. And why I call it as a skilling collective is to create the right perspective for this platform. To understand that MuLearn is not a recruiting platform, it is not a training platform, it is not a pipeline for corporates or a pipeline, exit pipeline for the academia. It's not those. MuLearn is a skilling collective. A lot of people who have a common interest are coming together, learning together, and then moving forward in building up their competencies. Now, why do I insist the word skilling collective? Because ours is a state which has been very good in community activities. And we, even for the free and open source software movement, we had a lot of communities coming together and working on various technologies. So MuLearn actually leverages that Kerala culture of community-based learning and acting on various aspects. And hence, please, when you look at MuLearn, look at it from a very large, broad perspective rather than a very narrow thing about placement or exit or skilling for a placement or whatever numbers that you are working on. Now, coming back to the last meeting, we had this meeting with all the major players of KDES, government members, and everyone coming together. We looked at industry and institution interaction. That was one group who looked at it. And one of the key factors there was a 6 months internship. Because one of the first issues that we tried to address was the internship issue for the students. Every student had to get an internship. But 50,000 students going into corporates and asking for internships made it very difficult affair. Then the question is, what was the issue? The companies then came back saying that by the time, if you give us a 1-month internship or a 2-month internship, by the time the student is brought into the company and trained on the fundamentals, the internship period is over. We don't get any productive work or productive learning out of the student. And the student has a nice time, just go watch the company and come back and write a report. So this was discussed, and the corporate came back with saying that we need a 6 months internship. Though the committee or the group who dealt on it discussed a lot, we had kept this item sidewise because we thought it may not happen because we know the universities. But fortunately, Dr. Saji has been able to implement or bring out an order which enables a 6 months internship in the colleges. I really appreciate that. And now the question is, how do you now make it a part of the process? That particular order has got a lot of conditions in terms of who can avail it, who cannot avail it, what can be benefited out of it, attendance, marks, and all those things. Probably when they deal with it when the panel and when Dr. Saji talks about it, we might bring it a bit more clearer. And then, so that was the first part. Second part which we had discussed was calibrating your karma points. The MuLearn has really put up this karma point system. But whose currency is that? Now, unfortunately, today it's a MuLearn currency. And unless the corporates and the academia accepts that currency, there's no point for that currency. I have 1,000 karma points or 10,000 karma points doesn't make a sense as long as the corporates don't vouch it for it or the academia doesn't give me any credit for it. Now the second point that we put forward was academia now looks into saying that if you have X amount of karma points, that if you endorse this platform, that if you have X amount of this karma points, you get so many credits. And the corporates say that in my learning path, L0 to L4 or whatever, if you have so many karma points, you become L0. So many you become L1. So many you become L3. If you can calibrate, the process would be a calibration of the karma points. If the academia and the industry can calibrate MuLearn, then it becomes a reason for looking into it. And why it is required? Because even the corporates can adopt or white label this particular platform and use it for your continuous learning. I know all of you will have your own systems, but still. That one of the third points was a faculty sabbatical. It's very hard these days because faculty is not even spared for a day in college, which I'm also now part of an academic community. So I don't know when they will be sent for sabbatical, and even if it's a paid sabbatical, then don't think about it. So how do we do it is yet to be cleared. Then we spoke about various skills. And I'd like to highlight a point here. The Knowledge Economy Mission and a lot of other agencies have put up what we call as the job fairs. What do we often hear? We hear that there's not even enough jobs available. Okay, then you have a list of jobs being listed, a qualification cited, and you have the job fairs. Now you see the result, if you look at for the last couple of times, you have less takers. Your jobs are going begging and nobody to take it. Now, I always feel that it is, probably we'll discuss that in the panel discussion, that it's because we mean different things. What I mean by a job description may not be what the industry means by the same job description. So, how do we get our language issues correct? Now, the government things, KKEM and the DWMS has already been in place. So, what I'm just trying to say is, this kind of an exercise, without any major authority or any kind of mandate to do it, but then this collective discussing various aspects, putting forward small steps which can be taken forward, seeing results. So that is why we stand here on this Bridging the Gap 2.0, where we are looking at how to now popularize or really take forward the 6 months internship. We are looking at how can we change the government policies, like today MOOC courses or your, I just forgot its name, there's some other courses like online courses which are accepted by the university, but they don't accept a MuLearn course. So how do you bring it into that? The industry leader involvement is limited to a honorary position or a label on your academic board. But how do you really drill it down onto more actionable items? Hybrid course delivery, and then probably faculty training and the soft skills training that you have to impart. I think these are the skill gaps and all this train the trainer stories we have been hearing all along. But now how do you create space in this platform for the faculty, space in this platform for working professionals, and space in this platform for the students, obviously. And all of us are continuous learners, right? I don't think any one of us can sit back and relax and say that I'm an expert in an area. Because technology around you is changing very fast. So there are no experts. Now, how do we make it for all of us? So that makes MuLearn a really skilling collective. I think with this context, probably I'll let the mic on to Dr. Saji to go on with his keynote address, and then probably later we discuss a few more points on the panel discussion. Thank you for calling me, and thank you for the listening.
ദീപു എന്നെ ഒന്ന് അഡ്മിറ്റ് ചെയ്യോ? VCKTU. Hello, can you hear me now? Good afternoon, and my apologies for not being physically over there. Thank you, Dr. Jay, for a very elaborate context setting. I think all the points which Dr. Jay mentioned are extremely relevant, and I believe that next 1.5 hours of discussion will go deeper into these aspects. So I would, I'll keep my address very brief, primarily because I believe great sort of foundation has been done so far in the last couple of years. MuLearn has actually created a very interesting and a very effective model for August audience. Now let's come back to the first point which Dr. Jay mentioned, where we all know that we speak about almost every forum the challenge of our students not being day one employable, and we understand that in a changing market, it's extremely important for companies to get day one billable resources, to remain competitive as such. And that is a context in which we started saying that it's important that while they are studying in their courses itself, they have to uh, uh, do both knowledge and skill, even though industry may be interested at the skill level because they primarily wanted to employ people for the specific skills at the start. From an employee's perspective, her long-term sustenance depends upon the lifelong learning which comes from the knowledge the academic institutions provide. In the past, we know that a person will come out of the college when I graduated or Jay graduated. That is or Sushri Kumar graduated. That is a time when colleges will provide you the knowledge. Colleges hardly provide us any skills, and most of us were not unemployable when we passed out. But then industry, mostly public sector industries, they had the pleasure of sort of the luxury of training us for maybe a 6 months, 1 year, etc., to make us employable. This was the model which was followed, and then the knowledge which we learned from our colleges actually help us to climb the corporate ladder. Now, in the new world where technology is changing so fast, you need to actually have people come out on the day one itself with the skills which the industry can place, because providing a very long term training program may not be very cost effective or will affect the competitiveness. I think many of us in academia understand this very well. So rather than only looking at some sort of finishing school, which we know that in general is not a very successful model, we try to sort of create skills within the curriculum itself or within the education system itself. And that is basically where the platforms like MuLearn become a very, very important thing, because we know that the way in which the skill have to be incorporated is not necessarily the same way the knowledge is incorporated. So that process actually being done, and then we also require people to understand the industry lingo in much more better manner. They should know the culture of the industry. They should actually immerse them in the industry, and the industry is concerned saying that it cannot be done in a month's time or a 2-3 weeks time. That also is really understood. That is why KTU has actually took a stand that we will allow up to 6 months internship, and even though the curriculum revision has not happened, and some of you may be knowing that the curriculum revision in academia takes time because it requires a complete overhaul of the process, and that generally happens once in 4 years or something like that. But we thought that let's not wait for such a long period of time. So we will allow students to go, provided the colleges support them with some online courses, etc., to meet their credit requirement. It's important for us to understand that we work on a regulatory environment which is not regulated by the state alone, but by the center, by the agencies. The transition of the student is not only for the industries, but for their higher careers, for across the world, etc. For that, minimal number of credits have to be required. That's the reason why we have actually put the restriction that they may actually have to do some more courses online, which many of the colleges have actually adopted. In fact, many students have actually moved out of the state. They are working in some of the larger MNCs where such internships are also possible. So, in other words, from a university's point of view, in the existing curriculum itself, we try to incorporate that to a large extent. Even though that actually put a little additional burden on the colleges, I should thank all my colleagues in various colleges, faculty members who have actually taken that extra effort to ensure that the students becomes industry ready. But we believe that this is effective only if industry comes out with good placement options, which later have to lead to their placements itself. And KTU, which is one of the largest university, which is supplying resources for most of the IT and related companies or technology companies here, is also coming out with the revised curriculum from next year, where we are actually making it much more liberal. In fact, Honorable CM in the last Sunday, I think, when he met the students from across the state, he actually made a point saying that even in the 4-year curriculum, which is happening in other colleges, one semester will be kept for internship. He was also speaking about people actually earning a semester by doing an accelerated program. Some of these are actually something which university side we will try to adopt. Maybe we'll also see that not every corporate may not have the right internship opportunity at the time when university prescribe. So even that flexibility we are trying to build in. We are trying to make sure that. Are you not able to hear? Yeah, because I got a thumbs down, so I thought there's some issues there. We try to create a sort of a flexible model where maybe they may do during their 7th semester. If somebody is doing the 7th semester, they do the 8th semester in classroom or the other way around. So there's some more flexibility we will try to incorporate. But this is all possible, but the students should actually get meaningful internships per se. And that meaningful internship is something which I think the industries have to really try to help us so that the gap is really getting bridged as such. So that is, I think, the point. Second thing is the point which Dr. Jay mentioned at the end, where he say that rather than sitting only as some advisors in the committees, can we actually have a more deeper engagement with the industry? So in the KT is also trying to come out with a industry minor, where the whole program have to be run by the industry itself. So if you believe that a particular industry has actually a specific skill which they wanted in a larger number, then they can actually run an industry minor itself. Now, most of these are at the discussion stages. I'm not saying that these are all finalized, but we are also taken in our curriculum revision experts from various industries, both IT and non-IT, and their inputs have been taken. And we try to make as flexible and as current as a curriculum which is possible in the days to come. And we will definitely invite more views from you on that context. So I think from a university side, I believe that there is a general understanding that there is a need for us to be more industry responsive. We need to make much more effective and so it become relevant assets. But having said that, this will become practical. One, of course, the internship. The second is also that the faculty should get an exposure to the industry per se. And that is basically where the faculty immersion in industries become very relevant. In fact, very thankful to GTech that GTech has actually come out with a proposal along with MuLearn, where faculty can actually do sort of, I'll not say internship, but sort of an immersion within industries itself. And we are also working with CA and others also to do that. That also, I hope we will be able to implement very soon, where a set of faculty may be sponsored for 6 to 8 months, where they will come into the industry not just as onlookers, but they will come and they will work with you. In fact, you have to give them meaningful work, so they understand what are the nuances of the industry, and then that actually will curate the knowledge content which they provide in the classrooms. And so, risk is that some of them will eventually join you, which is okay because even if they join, if we send some 100 faculty, maybe 10 joins, it's still, I believe that 90 faculty coming back with that industry knowledge is actually going to make a big difference. Because that is the only way the skill and knowledge can actually be integrated. So we are working on that. Hopefully that will also fructify in this period of time as such. But so one more important thing which I would sort of put forward, and I think Dr. Jay mentioned this in the context of karma points, is that see there are mixed signals coming from the industry. So if you talk to the CEOs of industries, especially very enlightened personnel across the country, they always say that, so we look at students who have more skill and knowledge. We are not really worried about marks and grades. So let them do more additional projects, etc. But when it comes to recruitment, most of you HR guys, first question you ask is that, show me students who are more than 70%. Show me students more than 80%. I will only shortlist that. Now, this actually sends a very different message even to students and more than to their parents. So the parents come back and say that, why should my child go to a MuLearn and learn? Because if he studies and mug up and write the examination, get 80%, then only he will actually get shortlisted by Nissan. Why should I actually do this sort of an exercise as such? So this is actually an issue not only in Kerala, but across the country. We know that NASCOM came out with a competency framework some time back, but industry did not really, it was developed by the industry, but the industry did not really accepted it. So these are the hard facts I think we should be very clear about. Otherwise, we will again go back giving a mixed signals, because the student will still say that, okay, let me slog out, let me write the examination, get good marks, and that is my entry criteria for selection process. So I believe that it is important for us in our selection JDs, we need to actually start looking at how do we actually account up, how do we actually make sure that some of the additional work they do is actually getting accounted for. You are right that when they come for an interview, you obviously will give more weightage to that. But the entry criteria, the cutoff criteria, many times is actually the marks. So this is a issue which I think we need to discuss and debate at some point of time. And especially with many companies actually insist that there should be a minimum sort of a mark. I'm not saying that people should fail or anything like that, but this is something which we need to seriously see, that how the skill component, how the additional work they do, how the activity points they do actually get figured in their selection process person. So that's the third point. The last point which I wanted to add is again, I reflect on the point which Dr. Jay mentioned, that you may not have enough jobs from the local makers for that. So this is an important question we need to ask. Why do people actually apply for government jobs like PSC jobs in large numbers, but when it comes to corporate jobs, which may be much more rewarding, why people are not coming? So we have many different theories for that. We used to say that this is basically because it's government jobs are more secure and things like that. But we actually did an interview with many candidates, and their answers is very different. The answer is that when you come to a government job, the process of selection is certain. There is no uncertainty in the process of selection. In the process of selection of most of the companies, there is a high element of uncertainty. They don't know that if they prepare this level, they will get. No. If I'm in a PSC, I know that if I prepare up to this, I write this examination, I get this mark, then I perform this interview, I get it. That sort of a certainty is not really there in most of the jobs as such, because like earlier Dr. Jay mentioned, there is what industry expects and what the person expects, there is a gap. See, in a government job, people tell in advance what you should learn. In a private job, you will not tell what exactly they should know. So this uncertainty many times create people to move away from corporate jobs per se, especially in Kerala, where people, to my understanding, is very, very sort of aversion. There is an aversion to uncertainty as it. So how do we solve this problem? To solve this problem, the best model is that let us go for a completely different, let's completely change this. Let us first recruit with no guarantee that they will get placed. Recruit, train, if they meet a particular level which the industry prefix. Say that, okay, you say that these things, if you meet, then you will get the job. So this recruit, train, and deploy model actually will be the best solution for that. You can, and government, in fact, Dr. Uni is also there. There's a huge amount of money government is spending for training. Now, this training, today what we do is we train people, we prepare them, and we send it to you. So the industry's requirements changes, industry's way of selection changes, and then the student is at a loss, or the candidate is lost. So candidate asks the question, why should I actually waste my time in training? Instead, you select, then you say that, okay, you meet this criteria. It could be an objective criteria, it could be an interview which you do, but the skills have been assessed. And if you meet that after the training, then the person's job is get confirmed. If that sort of a model, if we can evolve, and we have tried this, we have very successfully tried in Kodakada with one of the MNC, and which is working very well. We have tried this with in civil engineering space with a few large civil engineering companies in the country. It worked very well. The people who we were not even getting 100 applications, the moment it became an RTD model, it becomes around 2,000 applications. Because people are averse to uncertainty, is something which we have to understand. And can we actually do that? Where you look at only a person's attitude while you recruit, with he still don't have the skills which make him day one employable. Put it to one of the government program, put it on one of the training program, and you tell what are the things which you will select the person, or you will give the job. If you meet this, the person will be given within 4 to 5 months by the training agency, and then the person get confirmed. And I'm not saying this is a new model. I'm not saying this is a new model. A large number of executives in ICICI Bank used to happen like this. A large number of people in HCL used to happen. When I graduated, and I'm sure that Srikumar knows this, that when we are recruited by HCL, the first thing HCL sends is they actually send you to IIT Madras, where you say that, okay, these technologies, you get this degree and come back. We will actually confirm your jobs. If you are failing there, your job is gone. So that model is something which I believe we need to actually start looking at in a very large scale, so that this issue of jobs going begging, the students are not coming for the right job, at the same time they are using their skills for very other jobs where that is not required. That dilemma which we keep on discussing can actually be addressed as such. So let me close this, and I look forward to the interactions with the HR. Hopefully that we will have a very clear roadmap on how do we actually implement some of these aspects in the days to come, where we see how the skilling programs actually translate into employment, into internship, how the internship window which we provide is actually can be meaningfully used, so that all of the system, in fact, all of us are looking forward to ensure that the system is benefit from all of this. And let's hope that collective effort will actually make that into a success. And once again, thank MuLearn and GTech for their great initiative. And I believe that KTU is one university which is benefiting a lot from this, and we look forward to have further support and from them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So with the note that, as sir said, the collective effort will take us to next level. So to discuss more about the changing landscape, identify, understand on the priorities and the skill gaps, and more crucial discussions are yet to start. So I welcome Dr. Jayashankar sir, Director DC SMAT, to please come on dais so that he can start the, initiate the discussion panel. I'm welcoming few more dignitaries to the panel as a panel guest to this. We have Dr. P.V. Unnikrishnan, Member Secretary, KDISC. So please welcome to the panel desk. We have Mr. Prashant sir, IAS Special Secretary in SCST BCDD, and he's also CEO of Unnati. So please come to the dais. We have Srikumar sir, Secretary GTech, Center Head of Tata Elxsi. Sir, please come to the dais and please have a seat. We have Dr. Saji Gopinath sir online, and we have Dr. Ashalata ma'am, Joint Secretary DTE. She will be available online. We have Mohammad Siad, sir, from SSMP College. Mohammad Siad, sir. Please be on dais. And from students community, we have Adit Ramdas, the student from CT College. And from industry side, we have all HR members who all are here. So we will be having a wonderful, insightful discussion. That's what we feel. To explore more on the pathway together, I'm handing over the DICE coordination to Dr. Jayashankar, sir. He'll be taking forward the panel discussion. Sir, please, over to you.
Yeah, I think the esteemed panel members have been introduced to you, so you know why each one of them are here, because they take a different role in the whole process. Now, I'll start with Dr. P.V. Unikrishnan, because I think that's where Dr. Saji left it, because of the government trainings or interventions that is available for you to do the recruit, train, and what was that thing? Deploy, yeah. So you recruit the person, get him on board, and then train him to the required level of competency, and then deploy them. And what has been their experience? What other initiatives are government putting forward? I think I'll start on with Dr. P.V. Unikrishnan on this, and then we'll move on to the next speakers.
Thank you, Jay. See, we have now almost completed 2 years of the Knowledge Mission initiatives, struggling to ensure that we can provide employment to the job seekers in Kerala. What we did is basically to bring the employers and also the job seekers on a digital platform, commonsensical understanding of the process of employment. There is a requirement for providing soft skills, which is not usually done in the campus. So you look at English, you look at communication, you provide a effective 360-degree psychometric analysis of the person's profile, then suggest him some career paths and ask him to apply for jobs. We have been able to provide the employers. Around 8 lakh vacancies have been reported on the platform. A digital pipeline is ready. We have been able to provide something like 1 lakh odd, more than 1 lakh hires during the last 2 years. There are around 16 lakh job seekers on the platform. We had been looking at this and then analyzing the situation. So many theories have come up. One theory is that a large section of the people are not really unemployed, they are underemployed and malemployed. There is a small section which are really unemployed. 2, studies on the labor market in Kerala point out that people in Kerala are very choosy. They want comfortable, cozy jobs. They are not ready to take up quite a lot of challenges. They want jobs at arm's length. Many of them are not ready to go away from the specific location. I mean, they want jobs in the district or nearby and things like that. Then quite often the expectations in terms of the honorariums are also very high. So this is one part of the story. The other part of the story is the interesting insight which Dr. Saji pointed out. He had been talking about the whole uncertainty in the process of private recruitment or corporate recruitment, as he has pointed out. Now, we have also come to this broad understanding. Now there is a wider issue in terms of skilling. There are a lot of skilling programs around. The skilling agencies, all of them complain that we don't get enough people to skill. So the general thinking is that people are not ready to skill. They don't find skilling as a sort of as an attractive thing, because even if you get skilled, then you are not going to get employed. So that was the theory when we started the mission. So the understanding was that if we bring jobs, people will get skilled and then starting getting into the process. Even now, people are not skilling. So then there is also a theory that people are not ready to take up the skilling courses because they're costly. We announced scholarships. Not big amount of money has been provided. We have whatever resources are available, we have been able to provide for scholarships for the marginalized group, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, fisher folk, transgenders, women-headed family, children from women-headed families and things like that. There are a number of skill loans also available. We are trying to see whether the skill loan, which is promoted by the Government of India Ministry, can be also linked up. These are all in the process. Now, another finding is that most of the skilling programs are skilling for skilling's sake, and they don't meet the demand. Employers say that this is fine, that somebody has completed the skilling course, but he doesn't meet my requirements. So we are back to square one, where the whole question of the demand-driven skilling is not really happening place. There is a problem of employability in the courses which are being run by the conventional educational programs. So in order to address that, we are looking at skilling, and skilling is not getting continuously tweaked so that it becomes demand-based. So this is a sort of broad picture. Now we have also, as Saji said, moved to this concept of RTD. We felt that it is better to put in the skilling and whatever funds for RTD. Tell the industry, if you are satisfied with people at a certain level in terms of the attitude, in terms of certain minimum skills, and you are okay that this person can pick up certain skills during a training program, if that is okay, then you come with a hiring offer. And we will underwrite the training costs. This is a sort of RTD model that we are now trying to put up. We are trying to see whether this can be linked with the skill loan and the scholarship program so that this can be comfortably organized. Then there is a question whether it has to be completely subsidized. Because in Kerala, generally people there is an issue that people will actually go through the training and then not join also. That also can happen. So we want to be slightly careful about that, whether we can also ensure that the students also put in some contribution so that the whole thing can be little more meaningful. There would be marginalized people who are not in a position to put in resources where we can provide it on a funded basis. So this is a sort of framework which has emerged. And local government has been very kind enough. They have set apart, irrespective of BPL, APL and all that, they have said that whatever training costs are there, 50% of that can be bet from local government. At least that is on paper. Whether the money will come or not depends on what is the financial situation. So this is a sort of broad thing that has happened. We are now geared up to look for RTD, and this particular gathering of HR, which has been organized by GTEC, would be an interesting starting point on this to really leverage this and see how we can actually move towards an RTD-based recruitment mode. The prerequisites would be, we will have to have a plan in terms of what are the number of vacancies which are available. I'm sure that all HRs would have some numbers in terms of, based on the attrition, based on the growth model and things like that, what are the numbers which are going to come up. And we'll have to plan in advance, looking at what would be the duration of the training program, whether the existing induction the internal training programs can cater to this, or you have to bring in some additional components, and how that can be structured. We would, we have a large number of skill partners like ASAP, CASE, and a variety of, almost all the universities and a large number of colleges have also now come up with plans in order to, thanks to the initiative of KTU and the various other universities, a large number of such partners have also come up to develop skilling programs with the industry, working with the industry. So we can use it that way. Or else you can identify agencies which would be able to provide the skilling on your own and then indicate that to us. The only requirement that we'd have is that basically the skilling, if it is NSQF aligned, then it becomes comfortable. Skill loan and other things would become structured. So naturally, because it's a postgraduate or the post-degree sort of a thing, it can be easily NSQF aligned. And we could, that is the only prerequisite which I would find. Otherwise, it is all determined by the industry and what they want for the persons to come up, and it could be a hands-on experiential process which we could trigger. And this had been in educational theory. This had been identified as one of the best means of getting the best people on job. And I think that it could really trigger off. We can actually try this out and then tweak it. A blueprint method might not work. It will have to be continuously evolving based on the actual experience.
At that point, I'll shift the mic on to Mr. Srigumar, who represents the industry here right now. But with two more questions, like 2 points which I'd like you to comment on us. One, the current market situation in terms of recruitment may not be a very good, may not give you a very good situation for you to try out various skilling, recruiting options. Second is, I doubt if the freedom of a person to choose as to which company he goes after the skilling can be fixed. Just because one company recruited him and then training him, whether he'll join that company after the training, I don't think there is any way that we'll be able to ensure it. But then we assume that you are able to motivate him and then excite him to join you. That's fine. These are 2 points with generic things. But then, what is your take on this?
To answer the first query, as Dr. Jay said, not a very pleasant situation now. Bit of political maneuverability required to answer this. But recruitment is not happening from campuses as expected at this point of time. We should have been at least double of what is happening now at the campuses. But nevertheless, having said that, it is going to change. This year, 24-25 is going to be a tough year as predicted globally. And we are seeing indications of some of these R&D budgets cut by majors across geographies. So naturally, our businesses are also affected, and which is proportionate to the lesser number of people getting hired from campuses. But that's going to be a temporary issue. There are predictions or estimates that the last quarter of 24-25 will see again a surge in placements. So another factor which has contributed to this sluggishness in hiring now is because we over-recruited in the last 2 years, particularly during COVID and after COVID. And the numbers which came into our campuses, our industries, our companies were much more than what was required. There was a hiring spree which happened, and we are facing the after effect of that. So combined, this year is not a very pleasant year for recruitment and numbers. But definitely this is going to improve because and the overall fear of AI and Gen AI going to take away all the jobs and leaving people jobless, or many layoffs happening, and then job loss and all. But then again, a reskill and cross training can result in our technical workforce to align to the new developing situation because of artificial intelligence. So, but then to answer Jay's second part of the question, we have tried locally some models which came out a bit successful, which could be duplicated or replicated across companies and with the help of MuLearn platform and the GTech community here. One small example which we tried at my own organization is we have this MTech internships and BTech internships happening. BTech internships are very, very recent, where internships happen for 6 months. But that is a very serious internship which happens for the whole duration of 6 months. Unlike what generally happens as internship is about, from all the college campuses, we get a lot of stories of internships lasting for 3 days to 3 weeks max. And a week of internship is now offered by paper companies across the state, where you get a paid holiday to some of the hill stations along with the internship. So these kind of internships happen across colleges for the students. I mean, that is a certificate is given, and it's a package deal offered by some of these companies. But a 6 months internship in the industry actually makes the candidate ready to be deployed from day one. That's now proven, and it's happening in small numbers in many of those companies. We tried this in MTech, and it is highly successful. You have a full year of internship model available with the MTech course, and 1 full year, suppose 20 MTech students start an internship in our company, it is almost sure 19 of them would join us and continue with us for long years, because by the time they are aligned to our kind of businesses, our kind of technologies, the skill sets, and by the time they are in track with what is happening in our company. So this can be a model which can be replicated with BTech and MTech streams, or with even with science schemes. Another small experiment that we have been doing for some years now is conducting a parallel course for the BTech stream from S6 onwards. S6, S7 and S8, we run a parallel course. We select from each college, we were able to select about 50 to 60 students after an assessment test on whether this assessment test basically evaluates his or her affinity towards this kind of a job. When I say this kind of a job in our company, it is mostly on research and development in the automotive embedded electronics. So if somebody has an affinity towards this kind of a job and is serious about it, this assessment test evaluates this very clearly, and after the test at S6, the candidate joins us. Starting S7, the candidate is an employee of Tata Elxsi, and then through S7 and S8, a course is run for them. At the end of S8, there is again an assessment, and if 50 people join the course, 48 of them almost clear the test and join us. Over the years, we have seen that out of these 48, at least 45 remain with us for more than a period of 5 to 6 years, which is remarkable stay comparing to industry standards here. So these are small models which have been tried and experimented. When we started this experiment with SCT College of Trivandrum about 5 years back, but the problem that we faced is that a lot of bandwidth of our senior leadership was spent on this year after year. So we decided to train the faculty members. So we started training the college faculty members on all the basics of this course. The entire course content was developed and designed by us and given to the college. Today we run it in 4 colleges in Kerala. And this is running successfully as a small pilot model. This could be done across Kerala, across courses, across universities as decided by the industry. So these modules could be prepared by the industry. Here I see, while I represent the industry body, I still have an opinion here that industry has not really participated in the whole process as required by the whole ecosystem. So more vigorous involvement by the industry and such models being suggested and run by the industry could change the situation in the favor. So I wanted to point out these 2 models which could be tried out by MuLearn in association with the industry partners here, so which could prove beneficial for the educated young youth here.
MuLearn can, the platform can really help scale up these numbers. Definitely, yes, because that kind of time that was taken by your senior people, I think that can be reduced by the mentor-led work in MuLearn and a lot of activities. Though I'll come to Dr. Saji later, but then I would like to get some inputs from Sri Prashant and IAS, because for a couple of reasons. One, so I was actively involved in the upliftment of a lot of people who are kind of socially alienated. I think you were to really bring them up. More than that, you've also been instrumental in setting up a lot of social networks or the collectives which I spoke about earlier in your stay in various offices. Now, if we are to talk about a work pool, here you said about skilling a lot of people. Here you said about the ups and downs which could make people not absorbed immediately. Then there has to be a space where they need to be held. So probably Dr. Saji would recollect, we were thinking about a work pool kind of thing or a skill pool. Now, can this group or this platform be a skill pool also, which would help these guys work as a digital nomad for some time, and then probably when an industry requires it, get absorbed into it? I think just picking your brains on that from with your other experiences.
Thank you. Actually, I would like to take the discussion further from what Unikrishan sir said, because RTD is something which has been really exciting for me personally, because for the last 10 years I have been in skilling in some way or the other. Initially as the employment and training director, as managing director of CASE and all that. And now in charge of SC and ST development department, we fund a lot of skilling programs. And for the last 1 year, we have actually been doing RTD. Because earlier we used to fund 10 to 20 crores every year in skilling alone. And if you look at the results, it's actually pathetic, because as Sir said, it was just skilling for the sake of skilling. And the ecosystem has been structured in such a way that everyone is happy. There's no complaint, because you give stipend, so the trainee is also happy. The trainer is happy because he is getting the payment. And the department officials are happy because they are anyway spending the money, and maybe they're getting a few kickbacks as well. I don't know. Everyone is happy. There's no complaint. But there is no placement as such. And probably the same people would get trained again as well. No one is complaining. To kind of break that chain, what we did was we insisted on 100% placement. Now 100% placement, when we make that a precondition, the training vendor is forced to bring forth his tie-ups, whatever tie-ups he is doing. So immediately what they would tell me is that what if they don't join? We conduct the training and they don't join. Then how can you blame the trainer? How can you penalize the trainer? So what I told them was, you have a tie-up with the industry in the first place. Bring the industry partner up front. You structure it in such a way that he is recruiting. He is making the recruitment up front. And then you are doing the in-service training kind of thing. The immediate training when you recruit. And you place. Since you are doing the selection, we give the pool. We'll give you, say, 100, 200 applicants. You do the selection. Then the onus is on them to make it 100%. And of course, if there's a genuine case where someone doesn't report, we do allow for that. But generally speaking, this is the kind of RTD which we tried out, and it's been highly successful. We did it in the aviation sector. We did it with technology. We used Keltron, we used CASE, and we used IATA certified aviation sector specialists as well. And all of them have been giving us excellent results for the last 1 year. You must have probably, I don't know whether you've seen in the media, we have had air hostesses from the tribal community. Gopika, she has become a trend amongst the community itself. And now we have a pilot undergoing training. Now, these are things happening, and we strongly believe that the model which I was saying is the way to go ahead. Otherwise, what happens is we are unnecessarily spilling a lot of money in the name of training, and you get the second class, third class training for the sake of training, and then we believe that we created a pool of trained people, and they wait to get picked up. I think it's unfair as well to these communities. You need to empower them. You should ensure that they get placed. Time is also very valuable. You can't just say that I'll train and put them there. Let's wait. Somebody will come and pick. No, that's not the way to do that. Even in CASE, I remember we had created a hub and spoke model where the industry partner comes up and the industry partner sets up the training institute. And the kind of selection which the process which we underwent for selecting these partners was also 100% focused on 100% placement. Whether they have the capacity. For instance, when we did this oil and rig training facility, Uh, it was the Iram group who came up front, and they had more than 50,000 visa for Saudi, or for the NICE Academy, which we set up with Shetty. So they had a hospital chain where ready placement is possible. Now, unless you are sure of the capacity to place and the real requirement, the pull should be there. And then you create the product or the training product which will make them, empower them to get them placed. So I think that is the way ahead. I think, from the industry side, I really do believe that there should be more interest and more openness. You should think a little beyond what is going on right now. For instance, even you could even think of in-service kind of training, not exactly internships, but within the course of your job, when you do role changes, for example, you need a bit of reorientation, which can be provided through very interesting internships, especially in the government. I'm saying that with a lot of responsibility. I say that in the government, the kind of internships which we provide give you a 24, it's a 360-degree kind of an exposure and experience. In Unnati, for example, we give internships to not just technology guys, but social sector. All these possibilities are there. And it's very challenging in the government. The kind of experience, exposure which you get while you're working hands-on on government projects, that will really make you good enough, in fact, really good for the private sector. I think that also needs to be explored. For example, we had a structured volunteering scheme for Unnati, for which I have not yet got a single taker from the private sector. Okay, it's a midterm kind of exposure where you could come volunteer for at least 6 months, and you can take up roles within the organization, within Unnati, because Unnati is a organization which works on zero staffing. We don't have any staff. We are all working, including the CEO, myself, we are all volunteering from top to bottom. So I have a very unique situation here that I have got volunteers from the government. Lots of youngsters, even senior officials who are working in various capacities in various departments who are volunteering to make a difference. And I didn't find a single volunteer from the private sector so far. Yeah.
That's a good point to note, but then this gives me a bit confusion on one end. You say that 100% placement is assured, like this RTD has been working. We've been trying it out in other skills also. But I'll take it to Dr. Saji. I hope he's still around. Sir is around? He's left. Okay. So the point which I wanted to raise there was, at what level of employment is this happening? Because at a very transactional level or a lower skill level jobs, I think you can assure the placement. But the moment the jobs get a little more, complex and requires a little more of this thing, I think that kind of a placement cannot be assured. I think anyone.
I think just a moment, because I think that is a misconception. Because see, how we work is we have got the e-grants portal, so we know how many kids are being trained, who is studying which course. So we work backwards from there. You know how many engineers have been produced, how many lawyers have been produced. So based on the database available, we work backwards, and we just need to scout for that kind of a job profile. And high-end jobs are also being offered. It's not, I think that we should really have an open mind. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, probably I'll look at the data on that. I request Madam Asha to now comment on what are the activities that is being done from the department side. Ma'am, you are there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah,
Hello.
please go ahead, ma'am.
So first of all, let me thank MuLearn for giving me an opportunity. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
Yes, for giving me an opportunity to be part of this wonderful discussion, which I'm sure it's going to pave the way for reforming the technical education, you can say, of the state of Kerala. So as far as the kind of activities that are going on in Directorate of Technical Education for skilling, the new initiatives which were taken for skilling the students, both in the polytechnical as well as the engineering colleges, I would say that It's industry on campus, which was actually initiated by ASAP, and they have done a very commendable job. And from June onwards, we have DT is looking after that, and we have devised very clear guidelines because working in our setup, like how it has to move forward. And now we have a lot of polytechnics who have come forward, and they are they have good association with industries, and they give their certain projects from the industries. The students take under the supervision, they'll be manufacturing some components which are required for the industry as per the industry specification. And that is we have generated a revenue, though in the initial stage it doesn't look very high, but still then, yeah, around 40 lakhs 72,000 amount of revenue has been generated. The advantage of this is that they get that is exposure to the industry culture, and earn while you learn, or learning through experience. So and also a percentage. Now what we have done is that we the standard operating procedure we have devised, in that a share goes to the students, which can be used as a stipend for them. So that will be a kind of motivation to them, in addition to getting a certificate from the, which is jointly signed by the DT and the industry. And also there's a certain portion which is set aside for the institution development fund. And also we are also given mechanisms for having and for meeting the initial expenses. And this is one system which we can take forward to the engineering colleges, where we can have these industries associated on a larger, like research oriented problems. And also this will indirectly improve the placements also, because most of the industries which get associated with the students for this IOC project, industry on campus program, they absorb a certain percentage of the students also. So in that way also, it is found to be very beneficial to the institutes. And another thing which I would like to say is that Department of Technical Education is planning to have an industrial conclave, where we would like to see, we'll be actually inviting all the industries to this. And we in engineering colleges and even the polytechnicals, they have the industry institute interaction cell. But unfortunately, the sad part is that there are a lot of works going on in campuses, but even within the campus also, like there is no mechanism by which all the activities are consolidated. There are also situations where there's duplication of the work. So what we plan is to have these best performing institutes, their IIIC cell coordinators can make presentation before the invited industries, highlighting what is the potential, what kind of facilities they have in the institutes, and so that the relevant industries can associate with the institute, with those institutes. So that will be giving a boost to the industry academic interaction. Moreover, in developing the policy for the IIIC cell, Industry Institute Interaction Cell of DTE, we are even suggesting this professor of practice, which is actually a very good concept, which is UGC is having very clear guidelines for it, so that we can have experts from industry directly coming to the campus. And there can be, because already K2 has devised electives in such a manner that they can be taken up by the industries. The experts in the industry itself will be delivering the lecture, and that can also be motivating the students, and slowly they can set up industry sponsored labs, and also industrial consultancy, which is very much required, because only if we have industrial consultancies, the faculty will be getting good exposure, and based only if the faculties are getting good exposure, they can motivate the students to take up challenging research problems. So we have that also in mind when we are formulating this policy. Another important thing is that ASCT in the 7th CPC, they made it mandatory that the faculty should have 14 days of industrial training. So, like, it is not that we send students and they get trained, but the faculty should also get associated with it. And in that way, the faculty will be the connecting point, because once the student pass out, the next line of students, when they come, so there is some faculty who will be associated with each of the industry, and that is very much required for sustaining this relationship. And in this context, I would like to say that Directorate of Technical Education, through this government polytechnics, we have introduced this credit transfer system. So it has been introduced in an experimental basis, where for this last year students, we give two choices. Either you can go in the conventional way, or you can go for this credit transfer system, where they'll be associated with the industry, and they can they can work in the industry, they can do their projects in the industry, and actually certain labs and theory subjects we have made it to some audit courses, and then the credits from the industry. Actually the credits will be given to the students through a combined assessment by the industry as well as the faculty. So this is a very important move that has been done from the Directorate of Technical Education, and slowly we plan to introduce it not a choice that every student has to go through this phase. And already KTU has made such concept in government engineering colleges also. And so I would also request all the industrial the corporate managers who assemble here to kindly associate with DTE in the upcoming industrial conclave, which we are planning to conduct in May, and where we actually one of the important outcomes which we would like to, which we consider as one of the important deliverables in this industrial conclave, industrial government academia industrial conclave, is to finally come out with some vision document. Because what is actually happening in our technical education scenario, because we know there are certain states which are performing really well in technical education, and because they have been associating with these industries long back. So we will have a comparative study, we'll see what actually, where did we go wrong, or are we having an edge on certain cases. So we'll come out with a vision document towards the end of this conclave. So probably, and if you have such a vision documents, we can set benchmarks and we can work towards attaining a more stronger technical education, where our students will not find it very difficult to get job, or rather than getting a job, they become entrepreneurs. So that is what we are planning in some of the major things which we are planning in Directorate of Technical Education. And of course, we cannot stand isolated with the industry. That is very much clear. And I also request industries to please come forward and interact with the faculty members, and can set up labs, research labs there. So that is also very much required. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. From the points that Madam put up, a couple of issues like, one, before you insist that it becomes mandatory for every student to go and work on an industry, you better ensure that there is enough opportunity available there, because otherwise students will find it short. And the second thing is, the most easiest thing that the government can do is set up a lab, because how to run it for future is what you need to see. Because I've seen quite a few labs in various colleges which are just labs for the sake of labs. There's no content running through. The program running through the lab is more critical, and the skill development. Now come to the two major stakeholders in this whole exercise. Siyat sir, I think you heard everything. You have been part of a journey for various things. We met as part of IEDC, we met as part of MuLearn, we are meeting as part of various establishments. So how does it feel to be on the faculty side, looking at the whole thing and the way things have been evolving?
Hello. First of all, I very much thank MuLearn and GTech for giving me an opportunity to sit together. The people I very much respect. ഇതുവരെ ഇത്രയും കാലം അകലെ നിന്ന് മാറി നിന്ന് ഇവരുടെ എല്ലാം സംസാരം ആരാധനയോടുകൂടി നോക്കിക്കാണാൻ മാത്രമേ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ളൂ. പക്ഷേ ഇന്നത്തെ അജണ്ടയിൽ നിന്ന് ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത് മാറി പോകുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ദയവായി എല്ലാവരും ക്ഷമിക്കുക. കാരണം ഏകദേശം 2015 ഫസ്റ്റ് ജയശങ്കർ പ്രസാദ് സാർ സ്റ്റാർട്ടപ്പ് മിഷൻ CEO ആയിരുന്ന കാലത്ത് ബൈ ദ വേ ഒരു ആക്സിഡൻ്റലിയോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വന്നുപെട്ട ഒരു ഇവിടെ തിരുവനന്തപുരത്ത് വെച്ച് നടന്ന IEDC സമ്മിറ്റിൽ ഷോക്കേസ് ചെയ്ത ഒരു പ്രോജക്റ്റായിരുന്നു MES എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ് കോളേജിൽ IEDCയിൽ കുട്ടികൾ പ്രസൻറ്റ് ചെയ്ത ഒരു ജൻ റോബോട്ടിക്സ്. അതിനുശേഷം ഒട്ടേറെ വർഷങ്ങൾ പിന്നിട്ടുവെങ്കിലും ഇപ്പോൾ ഇന്നൊവേഷൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സ്റ്റാർട്ടപ്പ് എക്കോസിസ്റ്റത്തിൽ ഒരുപാട് ഇനിഷ്യേറ്റീവ്സും ഫണ്ടിങ്ങും പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളും കേരളത്തിൽ തന്നെ നടക്കുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിലും നമുക്ക് ഇത്രയും കാലം എടുത്തു പറയാൻ സാധിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത്, എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു എൻ്റെ ഓർമ്മ ശരിയാണെങ്കിൽ, ഇപ്പോഴും ഒരു 7-8 വർഷം മുമ്പ് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കപ്പെട്ട ഒരു ജൻ റോബോട്ടിക്സിനെയോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സഹൃദയ കോളേജ് പോലെ ഉള്ള കോളേജിൽ നിന്ന് വന്നിട്ടുള്ള സാറ ബയോടെക് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സെൻറ്റ് ജോസഫ്സ് കോളേജിൽ നിന്ന് വന്നിട്ടുള്ള ലമാറ ടെക്നോളജീസ് തുടങ്ങിയ സ്റ്റാർട്ടപ്പുകളാണ്. ഗ്ലോബലി തന്നെ ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കിയിട്ടുള്ളത് സ്റ്റാർട്ടപ്പ് എക്കോസിസ്റ്റത്തിൻ്റെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സ്റ്റാർട്ടപ്പ് ഇന്നൊവേഷൻ എക്കോസിസ്റ്റത്തിൻ്റെ സക്സസ് റേറ്റ് ലെസ് ദാൻ 2% എന്നാണ് ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. നമ്മൾ ഗവൺമെൻറ്റിൻ്റെ ഒരുപാട് ഇനിഷ്യേറ്റീവ്സ് മുന്നോട്ട് പോകുമ്പോഴും എനിക്ക് തോന്നിയിട്ടുള്ളത്, അത് എൻ്റെ തോന്നൽ മാത്രമാവാം, നമ്മളുടെ എല്ലാ ഗവൺമെൻറ് മെക്കാനിസവും ഒരേ കാര്യത്തിലേക്ക് പല വഴിയിലൂടെ സഞ്ചരിക്കുന്നതായിട്ട് തോന്നിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. കാരണം കഴിഞ്ഞ 30 വർഷമായി ഞാനൊരു ഇടത്തരക്കാരൻ്റെ IIT ആയിട്ടുള്ള പോളിടെക്നിക്കിലെ അധ്യാപകനാണ്. എൻ്റെ മുന്നിൽ വന്ന് വിദ്യാഭ്യസിക്കുന്ന 70% കുട്ടികളുടെയും അച്ഛനമ്മമാർ തൊഴിലുറപ്പ് പദ്ധതിക്ക് പോയിട്ട് മാത്രം അന്നന്നത്തെ അന്നത്തിന് വക കണ്ടെത്തുന്ന ആൾക്കാരാണ്. പക്ഷേ എന്നിരുന്നാൽ പോലും ഒരു 3 വർഷത്തെ ഡിപ്ലോമ പഠനം കഴിഞ്ഞ് പോകുന്ന കുട്ടികൾ, I am very proud to say that few of our products are presentable with prominent companies like Tata Elxsi, TCS, Infosys and all. വെറും 10ാം ക്ലാസ് മാത്രമാണ് ആ കുട്ടികളുടെ പ്രാഥമിക പഠനം. വിത്ത് ദ ബേസിക് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ ഓഫ് 10th standard, our students are competent to present before the current trends and technology requirements in the industry. ഇപ്പോൾ കഴിഞ്ഞ ദിവസങ്ങളിലെല്ലാം കാലാകാലമായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞു കേൾക്കുന്നത്, ഇനി വരുന്ന 1-2 വർഷത്തിനുള്ളിൽ 70%-ലധികം തൊഴിൽ മേഖലകളും അസ്തമിക്കപ്പെടും. എൻ്റെ മുന്നിലുള്ളൊരു ചെറിയ ഉദാഹരണം, കഴിഞ്ഞ ഒക്ടോബർ മാസത്തിലാണ് MuLearn എന്ന പദ്ധതിയെപ്പറ്റി ഞങ്ങൾ ഒരു 30ഓളം കേരളത്തിൻ്റെ കാസർഗോഡ് മുതൽ തിരുവനന്തപുരം വരെയുള്ള കോളേജുകളിലെ തിരഞ്ഞെടുക്കപ്പെട്ട ഒരു 10 പോളിടെക്നിക് അധ്യാപകർ, 10 എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ് കോളേജ് അധ്യാപകർ, 10 ആർട്സ് ആൻഡ് സയൻസ് കോളേജ് അധ്യാപകരെ ഒരു എനേബിളർ ടീമായിട്ട് സെറ്റ് ചെയ്യുകയും അവരന്ന് ഹാൻഡ്സ് ഓൺ, ഞങ്ങളൊക്കെ അന്ന് ആദ്യമായിട്ടാണ് MuLearn ഡിസ്കോഡ് പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമിൽ ലോഗിൻ ചെയ്യുന്നത് പോലും. പക്ഷേ അതിനുശേഷം വിത്തിൻ 1 or 2 months സാൻഡ്സ്റ്റോം ഹാക്കത്തോണും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ടോപ്പ് 100 കോഡേഴ്സ് ചലഞ്ചിലും ഞങ്ങൾ അന്ന് വന്ന കോളേജിലെ അധ്യാപകർ പോയി ഇങ്ങനെയൊരു വഴിയുണ്ട് എന്ന് ചൂണ്ടിക്കാണിച്ചു കൊടുത്ത കുട്ടികൾ അതിനെ പിൻപറ്റുകയും ടോപ്പ് 100 കോഡേഴ്സ് റാങ്കിൽ 25ഓളം കുട്ടികൾ ഈ പറഞ്ഞ ഇനിഷ്യേറ്റീവ് ചെയ്ത കുട്ടികളായിട്ട് വരികയും ചെയ്തു. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കേണ്ടത്, ഞാൻ ഇപ്പോൾ 30 വർഷം അധ്യാപകനാണെങ്കിൽ പോലും ഐ ആൾസോ റിയലി ലാക്ക് ഇൻ ദ കറണ്ട് ടെക്നോളജി നോളജ് ആൻഡ് ഓൾ ദോസ് തിങ്സ്. ഇപ്പോൾ പല വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ സ്ഥാപനങ്ങളും ഒരു കാലത്ത് ഞങ്ങളുടെ ക്യാമ്പസിൽ ഒരു ക്യാമ്പസ് ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂ ഉണ്ടെന്നുള്ളൊരു ക്ലീഷയായിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞിരുന്ന കാലം വിട്ടു. പിന്നീട് IEDC അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇന്നൊവേഷൻ എക്കോസിസ്റ്റത്തിനെ പറ്റി ഹൈലൈറ്റ് ചെയ്ത് പറഞ്ഞു. ഇപ്പോൾ ഹാവിങ് എ TBI ഈസ് വൺ ഓഫ് അവർ ക്രെഡിറ്റ് എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. എല്ലാവരും ഒരു TBI ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മാനേജ്മെൻറ്റ് കോളേജുകൾ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് TBI ഉണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളൊരു ഷോക്കേസ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട്. പക്ഷെ ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്, ഇപ്പോൾ പല എക്സ്പേർട്സും ഇവിടെ പറഞ്ഞത് പ്രകാരം ഉണ്ണികൃഷ്ണൻ സാറിൻ്റെ കയ്യിൽ നിന്ന് ഞാൻ ഒരുപാട് പ്രസംഗങ്ങൾ കേൾക്കുകയും റെക്കോർഡ് ചെയ്ത് വെച്ച് കേൾക്കുകയും ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. കേരളത്തിൻ്റെ വികസനം 2 കാരണങ്ങൾ കൊണ്ടാണെന്നാണ് മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്. ഇനി മുന്നോട്ടുള്ള കേരളത്തിൽ വലിയൊരു ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി വരാൻ വേണ്ടി പോകുന്നില്ല, ഒരു പ്രൊഡക്ഷൻ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി വരാൻ പോകുന്നില്ല. നോളജ് ബേസ്ഡ് എക്കോണമിയിലൂടെയും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ പ്രാദേശിക സ്വയം സംരംഭകരെ സ്മോൾ സ്കെയിൽ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രീസിൻ്റെ പ്രൊമോഷനിലൂടെ മാത്രമാണ് നമ്മളുടെ ഒരു ലോക്കൽ എക്കണോമിക് ഗ്രോത്തിലേക്ക് നമ്മളെ നയിക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുക. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെയാണെങ്കിൽ നമ്മളുടെ നാട്ടിലുള്ള ഇപ്പോൾ മുഴുവൻ കുട്ടികൾക്കും, നേരത്തെ ഇവിടെ ഒരു എക്സ്പേർട്ട് സൂചിപ്പിച്ചതുപോലെ, നമ്മുടെ ക്യാമ്പസുകളിൽ പഠിക്കുന്ന മുഴുവൻ കുട്ടികൾക്കും ഈ പറഞ്ഞ എല്ലാ ഫെസിലിറ്റിയോടും കൂടി ഒരു പ്രോമിനൻറ്റ് കമ്പനിയിൽ ഇൻറ്റേൺഷിപ്പ് ലഭ്യമാക്കാനുള്ള സാഹചര്യം കേരളത്തിലില്ല. അത് യാഥാർത്ഥ്യമാണ്. ആ സാഹചര്യത്തിലാണ് നിർബന്ധമായിട്ട് സബാറ്റിക് ലീവ് പോലും അനുവദിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് അധ്യാപകർ ഇൻറ്റേൺഷിപ്പിന് പോവുക, അധ്യാപകർ എക്യുപ്ഡ് ആവുക എന്നുള്ളൊരു കൺസേൺ പങ്കുവെക്കുന്നത്. ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്, ഒരു കാലത്ത് സജി സാർ സ്റ്റാർട്ടപ്പ് മിഷൻ CEO ആയിരുന്ന കാലത്ത് അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ ഒരു പ്രസംഗത്തിൽ ഞാൻ കേട്ടത്, ദിസ് ഈസ് ദ ലാസ്റ്റ് ബസ് ഫോർ കേരള എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു ആ പാരഡൈം ഷിഫ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് ഇപ്പോൾ MuLearn കേരളത്തിലെ ഏറ്റവും അറിയപ്പെടുന്ന അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഏറ്റവും പ്രൊമിനൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള 300ഓളം ടെക്നോളജി കമ്പനീസ് ലീഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന GTech മുന്നോട്ട് വെക്കുന്ന MuLearn എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ഈ ആശയം എന്തുകൊണ്ട് ഗവൺമെൻറ് തലത്തിൽ ഏറ്റവും പ്രാഥമിക പരിഗണന നൽകിക്കൊണ്ട് ഫോളോ ചെയ്തുകൂടുക? റിക്രൂട്ട്, ട്രെയിൻ ആൻഡ് ഡിപ്ലോയ് എന്നുള്ളതിന് പകരം നമ്മളുടെ കൺവെൻഷണൽ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷണൽ സിസ്റ്റം നാട്ടിൽ നിർബന്ധമാണ്. അതിലൂടെ കുട്ടികളെ എഡ്യൂക്കേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുകയും എഡ്യൂക്കേറ്റ്, MuLearn ആൻഡ് റിക്രൂട്ട് എന്നുള്ളതായിട്ടൊന്ന് റീഡിഫൈൻ ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് നമ്മളുടെ എക്സ്പേർട്ട് പാനലുകളും നമ്മളുടെ ഗവൺമെൻറ് സംവിധാനങ്ങളും ശ്രമിക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും നമുക്ക് ഈ പറയുന്ന MuLearn എന്നുള്ള പദ്ധതിയുടെ കണ്ടക്സ്റ്റിൽ തന്നെ മാത്രമാണ് ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത്. കുട്ടികളെ കൂടുതലായിട്ട്, അതായത് ഒരു ഇൻ്റർനെറ്റ് കണക്ഷനും ഒരു കമ്പ്യൂട്ടറും കൊടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ കുട്ടികൾക്ക് ഏതൊരു റിമോട്ട് പ്ലേസിലിരുന്നും ഏറ്റവും ലേറ്റസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ടെക്നോളജി പഠിക്കാനുള്ള സാഹചര്യം ഏറ്റവും നല്ല മെൻറ്റേഴ്സും ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി എക്സ്പേർട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് ലഭിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് വരുന്ന ഈ ഒരു സാഹചര്യത്തെ പ്രയോജനപ്പെടുത്തണം എന്ന് കൂടി സൂചിപ്പിക്കുക. ഒപ്പം തന്നെ KTUമായി MuLearn MOU സൈൻ ചെയ്യുകയും KTUവിൻ്റെ പല ആക്ടിവിറ്റി പോയിന്റിലേക്കും MuLearn ക്രെഡിറ്റുകളെ ആഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള അത് വരുന്നു. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ YIPയുടെ പദ്ധതിയിലൂടെ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്ന കുട്ടികൾക്ക് ആക്ടിവിറ്റി പോയിന്റ് കൊടുക്കുന്നു. തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ഉണ്ണികൃഷ്ണൻ സാറിനെ പോലുള്ള ആളുകൾ റെക്കമെൻഡ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് ഈ MuLearnൻ്റെ കർമ്മ പോയിന്റിനെ ആക്ടിവിറ്റി പോയിൻ്റായിട്ട് പോളിടെക്നിക് വിദ്യാർത്ഥികൾക്ക് കൂടി നൽകാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഇനിഷ്യേറ്റീവിന് റെക്കമെൻഡ് ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് അപേക്ഷിക്കുന്നു. താങ്ക് യു.
Okay, and now the most important person in this whole ecosystem is the student. And representing students we have, or the community we have, Adit, right? Adit, so what do you feel actually? You've been listening to all of us.
Yeah. So I will add on to what Sir said. So what a student requires is a vision. So it is the foremost thing that a student should have. Like if he wants to get a job or wants to start a company, it's a vision that he should start with. Like in the present scenario, there's a gap between the industry and the students, that is the university and like us. So GTech MuLearn is doing a very wonderful job here, acting as a bridge between the students and the industry. But how good it would have been if Technopark, for example, had an outreach program. Like Mr. Deepu said earlier, yes, Deepu Chaitan said earlier that a Technopark outreach center would have been very beneficial. Like the students would be able to get there and have a vision about what they could do. So if you think about it, the problem of the students not getting the placements or internships might be of two. The first one is the students actually lack the talent. And the second one is that the opportunities actually don't exist. So when we think about it, like Sir said, there's actually plenty of resources out there. A student can actually sit in a remote place and learn about anything from the best mentors. So Saji Gobinath sir said earlier that the generation before us, like our generation, this generation, so they were ready for jobs right after they completed their education. So we are not like that. From us, there's more expectation. So we have to do more since all this information is there and there's plenty of competition. So we actually prepared a list from students, their concerns, and some of them are related to the policy of attendance. So the attendance, the students are actually required to sit in the class for the 75% of the whole class time. But if you think about it, a large portion of the students are actually not completely utilizing those times. Very large portion of students actually learns the content of the exam maybe just 10 days or 5 days before the exam. So the time that is being utilized is actually very less. So if you think about it, the time, if it can be allotted to something else, then the thing would be very beneficial. Like if a student goes for any hackathon or some reasonable thing, then he should be given the uh, the the attendances or so. So this would have been a very valuable addition, I think.
Okay, I think, see, Adit, the problem is we all know that a major chunk of our time in the college doesn't work on a very productive thing, but then not related to academics, maybe. Anyway. But then there has to be an order in the madness when you do an administration from a academic management point of view. But we take this point that if you are in a hackathon, you are in a workshop, if those can be your extra credit points which the university or other thing allows, then I think some kind of a structure can be thought through. Yeah, so, and you got Saji Gopinath wrong. What he said was, by the time we guys passed out, the employers had sufficient time to train us and make us usable. Your case is because the employers don't have that time. So all of us are getting out at the same level only. Don't worry about it. Okay, anyway. So I'd request Sri Prashant or Dr. P.V. Unnikrishnan, any quick comments after hearing all these people? Otherwise, we'll open it up for the audience to ask if...
I mean, continuing on what Prashant had been talking, I mean, he made a very important point that opportunities and challenges are not only in industry. See, Kerala, there is a very peculiar situation. We have a resource constrained economy. We don't have the resources which Jharkhand has, which Rajasthan has, which Maharashtra has, any state. You look at major minerals, I mean metallic minerals, non-metallic minerals, minor minerals, fuel minerals. I mean, Kerala is nowhere. The only sort of resource that we have is possibly atomic minerals. That's the only thing where we have a reasonable position in the national ambit. The only resource which we have is possibly the biodiversity. That is where we excel. In terms of land, we are 21st among the states. So compared to other states like Gujarat or Maharashtra or Karnataka or even Tamil Nadu, we are not in a position to take an investment-led growth. This we have to be very clear. So the investment-led growth, whatever models that we are talking about, industrial entrepreneurship and all, and the issue that you started raising, do we have enough opportunities for giving all the students openings, internships in the industry? This is a fundamental question. So we will have to work around the Kerala dynamics, the Kerala context, and to look at internship. My point is that we should look at internship beyond industry. We should accept the position that people like Prashant, there would be so many Unnadis, there would be beautiful organizations, excellent model that he had been talking about. I mean, continuation of his exercises in Calicut and the other institutions, where he has taken up, posing the government and the welfare activities of the government as a challenge for the community, for the studentship, and also even for the private sector. We should look at, what Siyad had been talking about is, okay, recruit, MuLearn, and deploy, or whatever it is, what he had been saying. We should look at internship as something beyond industry. I know that the people here represent the industry, but I am talking from the point of view of the overall debate. We should look at local governments, we should look at the government per se, we should look at the MSME, and we should also look at community entrepreneurship. We have to create a sort of a mentorship pool also to ensure that quality mentorship can happen. Because one good thing about Kerala is that we have second generation problems and we are a hotbed of problems. High density of population, interconnected waterways, high level of urbanization. The sort of problems that we have, in terms of disaster management, no other place can provide problems like this. In terms of solid waste disposal, Kerala is the breeding ground of the best type of problems. So we have a variety of wicked problems all around. And this is the area where innovation can make a difference in terms of, you look at MIT, you look at all the best think tanks in the world, they are talking about building capabilities for addressing wicked problems. And that is where innovation is going to come up. I don't think that Gen AI will solve all the wicked problems or complex issues. So there has to be a mechanism whereby we create interfaces for resolving wicked problems. And that is a societal contribution which Kerala should build up. It will be a culmination of the industry, the community, the government, and together what we talk about, the triple helix. We will have to create a different model in Kerala, and that is where the affinity space and the MuLearn sort of space where learning arenas and things like that can make a real difference. If we can make a mentor pool, if we can create a problem library, and if we have students who can solve that, children who can solve that, they can either go into the entrepreneurship route, they can go into the industry route, or they can go to the social enterprise route, or they can reach the government also. I mean, these are all openings that should be opened up. And given the possibility that now the government has also, I mean, the academia has also started opening up and looking at the capabilities outside the academia, seeing how the learning process has changed. Because learning is situated learning. You cannot take out learning from the context. Whether it is government or industry, or whether it is a community enterprise, learning is happening there, and it has to be done in the context. That is the most important lesson of this internship and all these exercises.
I'll just add one small thing. Exactly as I said, see, with MuLearn, we have this experience of the Unnati website and the portal and the backend, the whole thing being structured and rolled out by the MuLearn volunteers over a period of under 1 week, actually. Now, if you look at the website and the ecosystem that has been created for Unnati, nobody will believe that it has been done on zero cost by MuLearn volunteers. And when they went through that process, Deepu will also bear me out because he knows what we went through. These were youngsters who never had any exposure, who were not professional developers of that kind, but and I was a very I'll say very cruel boss or a client when it came to demanding the output from them. But at the end of the day, the product was really good. And while going through that process, the learning which they got, they have come back and said that, that is the real in situ learning which sir is mentioning. And I think the youngsters have aspiration. You see, 10 years back when I was heading employment and training, we had a skill gap analysis done by one of the top 5 consultancies. I wouldn't name them. So when this skill gap analysis was done and they had to make a presentation before us, we had a committee. It was very interesting how they defined skilling. They took graduation as skilling, which itself is a wrong notion. And then they were trying to understand the gap. You can easily understand when the starting point itself is wrong. The gap itself, whatever you do analysis, it will be wrong. In Kerala, skill gap is a wrong approach, I'll say. It's an aspiration gap which you have to look at because we are connected with the international market. If you're going to look at the requisite skill in Kerala, it will be maybe the ability to climb a coconut tree or maybe to do manual labor, construction work. But we know for sure that the youth here, they are not looking for those jobs. They are looking for something else connected with the international market. So the skill gap has to be connected with the international market, and the skilling also has to be done appropriately. So from the student perspective, I think that has to be clearly understood. Thank you.
That exactly brings us to the point where we find a lot of jobs being offered but not being taken because there's an aspirational gap between what the employee or the potential candidate requires and then what is being offered. So just like one point on the contextual learning and where MuLearn as a platform can come in is, MuLearn already has a host of mentors. People who are into this thing just for the sake of sharing their knowledge and creating a community. And one quick example which I say is one of the publishing guys whom I am interacting with as part of my academics, he just came to me, and then part of my conversation I put him across to MuLearn, which we all keep doing whenever somebody whom we think is worthwhile, we just put them across to MuLearn. So he came, looked through MuLearn, and then he came back saying that, so this is a great platform. I said, why? Why? Because I was interested in filmmaking at some point of time or at my graduation. And if I would say that sitting in my place is in a remote space. So if I say that, I will not find anyone related to my interest in that space. Then I will look very, out of space, and then will get killed. My interest will get killed. I go into something which is more practical or pragmatic, as we would like to call it. But here I have a virtual space where I have a particular interest. I throw up my interest, then I'd see 10 other hands coming up saying that we are all in the same line. And then you also find somebody who is a mentor who's been doing good on it and saying that I can support you, I can tell you what are the pitfalls. So this actually is a space or a platform where these kind of learnings can happen. Now the question is, somebody who did that portal for you or the website for you, what happens to his skill that he gained? He earned a few karma points probably, but that karma point is not recognized by the academia or the industry today. And that is exactly what we need to bridge. Let's come on to, that's a currency part which I spoke about. We need to come back to the same currency. Okay, with that, we have a few 20 minutes probably. If there are any questions, you can just put it across to the speakers. Switch it on. The light will blink if it is on.
Hi, my name is Nadia, and I take care of HR programs in CareStack. So I have jotted down a few points which I would like to let all of you know. First, CareStack is one company where we don't just look at marks. We already, skill is more important to us, and that is what we test for during all our interviews. Secondly, about the skill gap that we are talking about, we felt that S8 is too late for a student to find out that he or she is lacking in some skill, and there is no time for them to upskill before they graduate. So we thought an internship in S6 is a better idea, where we give them a glimpse of what the industry looks like, what are the expectations, what are the opportunities available, so that when the students come in as interns, they learn from the industry directly, they get paid for it, paid for their contributions, and also can choose to upskill in an area where they feel is lacking before they graduate. So we felt that S6 is a good time for them to have internships. But Adit, like you said, it's very difficult for them to come to office or to spend time on this internship because of the attendance problem. So I agree with you there. Apart from the internships, we have a program called Bridge for S4 and S5 students, where we bring them to office, only those who are interested. We bring them to office and we give them a glimpse of what the industry looks like. What are the opportunities outside? We don't talk only about CareStack. We talk about what is the industry like, what are their options, what are the roles, what does their career look like, or what is it existing right now, and what can they look forward to. Now, since I've spoken about internship and this program called Bridge, we thought we have not gotten to the root of the problem yet. So we thought we should engage with teachers as well, because finally, it is the teachers who motivate and guide the students. But this is a question for you, sir. Are all teachers ready to come to the industry first acknowledge that they need this experience, come to the industry and learn from us. Are all teachers ready to do that? Is a question. Now, regarding the recruit, train and develop model, I firmly believe that it is during the training that the fresher gets to interact with the employees. So there is a lot of cultural induction that is also taking place. They get imbibed into the culture of CareStack as well. How do we train for this when we outsource this training? And we would like to finish the training in a certain amount of time. We would like to do it as fast as possible to suit our requirements, because finally it is a business. So the question is, how much, if in case we outsource it, how do we decide on the time? We say that we need these skills. How much time would you take to train this? We might need that person to be trained in half of that time, or maybe sooner than that. Would that be possible? Won't there be a gap there? These are my questions.
Regarding the internship, CareStack may be providing internship for a few number of students. We should understand that in Kerala, around 110 polytechnics are there. More than 30,000 students are passing out every year. At the same time, I think, if I am correct, there are around 150 plus engineering colleges. Altogether, around 50,000 students are coming out every year. I think a double size of students from Kerala are coming from other states also after completing this graduation. So all these, as Unnikrishnan sir noted, in Kerala we don't have enough facility to provide them internship. So my question is, why can't the MuLearn platform be a unique place for providing internship? And Prashant sir pointed out that a lot of MuLearn evangelists are doing gig jobs and earning money while they are learning. So why we can't make use of the MuLearn platform with the support of government as well as the industries to set a vision for the future of Kerala? That's my view.
Yeah, I just come point by point. One is internship, like you said, probably the volume is high. You might have a lesser number because so that's a specific case. Attendance issue. Where do you want to bring them? So can't we, one of the suggestions that can't we make it hybrid? Do you require people to come in and be there? Then probably we'll have to look at least now a 6 months internship at the SATs has been agreed to final year. Hopefully we move forward and we'll see that. The bridge part of it, that is still possible. They all have 2 weeks, 3 weeks industrial training breaks. So bring all those people, whoever are willing to, but please understand there's a capacity limitation for you. There'll be, you just float this. Tomorrow CareStack is willing to take people, you see the kind of numbers you get it. So that's one thing. And lastly, don't have to outsource it. What they said by recruit trainers, your trainers will teach them. Don't outsource it. So first give them an offer letter, come in, you qualify this, you come in, or otherwise you go out, kind of stuff. So I think, so you don't have to, no. Today you recruit, he's an employee with you. The other one is name is recruit, but then it's only you have shortlisted or identified for training or whatever it is. But keeping that there, taking it from Sir's point, why don't you use this platform to really give an immersive training? I think your guys become mentors, have a specialized course running. There may 10 other people who you may not be looking at, but they might also attend it. Right? So,
MuLearn is already helping us.
I know, I'm aware. Yeah. So that we are aware that you are working, but then I'm saying is, we want this to be the currency across all companies. We're not talking about exceptions, or we're not talking about small silos of experimentation. What we are trying to do is, like Sir said, the kind of numbers we are looking at, the kind of problems we are looking at. So social sciences, we are looking probably to see a vertical in MuLearn coming up on social sciences, or non-commercial activities or volunteering activities. There are so many mentors already there. So there could be a lot of those kind of options also be thrown out. Then this needs to evolve. Yeah.
One point Nadia said, hi, I'm Smita, I'm also from tech. At one point that Nadia pointed out, probably I want all of you to think us to start early, not at S8. That is something that we firmly believe that, the skill gap, whatever that we are trying to do, it has to be done earlier than S8. It has to be somewhere S4, S5, S6. Otherwise it will be too late. We'll get very little time to bridge the gap.
Yeah, I would like to add to that point. The problem in the internship gap being in S8 is that the project, the final year project group is actually assigned in the S7. So when some students go for internships in the S8, so there's actually a problem. Some students go for internships and that group will not have enough members to complete the project. So there arises a problem.
I think those can be worked out when the professors, everyone is aware that such an option is available. So the next time your S7 project comes up, people would be looking into it, and then the birds of same feather will flock together. Don't worry about that. Going into the S4 and X6, earlier we had all those IT companies having a mad rush of recruitment. We went ahead, and we went up to S5 and started giving offers in S4 and S5. And by the time you finally recruit, the guy will not have passed out also. Right. So at the 36% average pass percentage in the university, maybe lower, we still recruit by percentages, graduations, degrees and all. Whatever is, we all look at the degree completion at some point of time. Not everyone, but then most of us. Or people who have a strict, rigid structure. So there's a limit of pushing it forward. And by S4, how ready are these students for any kind of employment is also to be seen. Let's understand that these are 17, 18-year-olds at that point of time. How much of vision setting has already happened needs to be seen. So we need to look at whom we are training also. So I would suggest engage them in a hands-on immersion experience in this platform. You guys curate it, take it forward. I think there's a practical difficulty from an academic administration point of view to take it further down. Maybe it might happen over a period of time, but then we need to see. With the new NEP and also, you want to comment on it? Uni sir? With the new educational policy that is coming up with staggered degree levels and all, probably these kind of innovations can come into that?
Yeah, really. I think that there is a point in that if you are looking at, providing an experience of the industry as a part of the academic program, there is a need to start a little bit early. But the whole question is that how do you look at, because an internship we are expecting that you should also be in a position to apply something you have actually learned. And it's an extension of the curricular activity. So this will require changes on both sides. On the academic side also there has to be, we have to have the realization that the learning process has changed. It is not the same which was there for 10 years ago. The learning process has changed. And so there is a need for us. We have to break from the traditional mindset of how we should look at the curriculum and programs and things like that. And it would be much more effective to look at sort of experiential aspects linked to the whole learning process. That would make the whole process of, transaction in the classroom itself much more meaningful if you can relate that to something in practice. So the whole, the way of looking at, learning quite a lot of theory, then adding a few skills, then getting into application, doesn't really work out unless you transform the chain completely. So it is a multiple process. The teacher has to also get exposed to the industry. He has to have a feel of what the context is. And then, reorient the academic program in accordance with what is there in the industry. That is where, whatever Sri Kumar has been talking about right from S6, where he started looking at those exercises. And I feel that it is much better to have additional modules based on minor credits built into the program right from maybe the third semester or fourth semester onwards. It should be built up that way, and I mean, there should be large number of electives and opportunities should be provided. There should be prerequisites, minimum prerequisites, mandatory prerequisites should be there. Beyond that, that should be electives, and these electives should be, as far as possible, tailor-made to the industries around. That should be the sort of mechanism whereby we create, an aptitude towards moving towards broad sectors and then looking at that.
I know you. Just one question to Asha madam is there, I think. So, ma'am, I think you tried out
Yes, yes, I'm there.
minors and
Actually,
all.
what Uday is saying is really right, because we cannot just have only the students getting exposed to industry, but the faculty should also get involved in it. Then only, as I said, it becomes a sustainable one. So probably because having that in mind only, AICT has made it mandatory maybe for initial period as 14 days of industrial experience, but faculty will be able to carry forward in the, as I said earlier, in the form of establishing good rapport with the industry. Then that will be leading to some good research projects, good industrial consultancy, and finally leading to he or she can motivate the students to do innovative, take up innovative projects and all. So
Yeah,
that is very
ma'am,
important that faculty should also associate, and there
ju-
can be joint project evaluations. So when you have these electives and all, there can be joint project evaluation conducted by experts in the from the industry, and faculty also getting associated with it.
yeah, ma'am, my question to you was, you already have introduced minors and honors in, right? In the engineering colleges.
Yeah.
Have we?
Please, I couldn't.
We
Yes.
we have introduced minors and honors in various engineering colleges, right? Various universities.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So do we have an assessment of where that stands? What are the outcomes of that?
Of these electives.
Yeah. After introducing minors and
electives,
honors, yeah.
Yeah, actually, from the director DT level, we have not conducted an assessment of how it has been effective, but I think it's the KTU who has to, which has to look into it.
Yeah.
But the thing is that KTU has what I understand is that KTU has introduced a lot of electives which the industries can take. Those minors and all. So that is how we can have bridge that gap between industry and academics. And as I said earlier, we can have this professor of practice concept, where the experts in the industry will be coming and taking the electives, and that will be motivating the students further. Because rather than the teacher giving the theory portion, when an expert in the industry comes and engages the classes, that will be more motivating to the students, and also they get used to the industrial culture, what is actually happening in industry, and maybe that can also make a lot of changes.
Okay, ma'am. And one last question, Deepa. We'll wind up with that. Yeah.
Yes. Sir, I would like to highlight one basic problem what we are seeing in the current industry. The basic problem is our marketing dynamics. Okay, where what I meant over here is that we are talking about the future. We are talking about making the student ready for future and all, and we are giving a big hopes, big aspirations. We are asking them to be ready with the new technologies which have to come in the market, or maybe in India, or they are going to be ready for the global things and all. The basic problem with us is still there's a traditional requirement of things. Still we have a requirement for Java. Still we have a basic requirement of C++, .NET and all. Those requirements are still there. When we have students with the aspirations of LLM, ML, AI, those people, when they come to market, there's an aspiration, as Prashant said, there's a big aspiration gap there.
Would you take the rest of the?
Yeah, it's it's a very valid point where I see the gap in a different perspective. I mean, I would put it in a different. Ideally, industry has to be present in the campuses. We are seeing that in exceptions in certain areas. I mean, take the case of Barton Hill Engineering College, where you have the presence of Mercedes-Benz. I don't expect all the colleges to have premium or the industry giants coming in there, but at least if college campuses can have the technology business incubator functioning in the campus, and that will grow to some major brands coming into the colleges, being present there physically. Tomorrow, MuLearn as a virtual platform will enable this virtually. But the campuses, the academia and industry has to really coexist. When we say the gap has to be bridged, they have to really coexist, be it physically or virtually, they have to be existing there. All of the industry goes to the first 12 colleges in the ranking for their recruitments. Every company in all the three IT parks in Kerala will try to get students from the first 12 or 15 colleges. The remaining colleges are left behind. This is a gap. And we go to the colleges only for recruitment. We don't go to the colleges for any other activity. So across Kerala, across colleges, if the entire academia can be coexisting with industry partners, this is going to be the ultimate ideal situation where students, faculty, and the entire campus itself gets a feel of industry, how it works. There will be people coming from the industry to take classes. There will be faculty members going back to industry for immersion programs. Students get involved on a daily basis with the industry people. So this will be an ideal situation where we can coexist and bridge this gap. Industry will also know what is available in the campuses, and they will tweak and fine-tune and refine their requirements too. So that is the final, I think, objective we should be having. Campuses, irrespective of technical or non-technical, should have industry presence with minimum or whatever optimum levels that we could achieve. I think that would, such an objective and working towards such an objective can bridge the gap to a certain extent and give us some kind of engagement between academia and industry.
Anyone wants to sign off?
Just one small point. What she had raised is a very valid point. We should not go beyond hype notions of transformation of the industry. I think it is very important. 2 years ago, when we started off with the knowledge mission, one of the things which was very fashionable post-COVID was working at home and work from home. Very level-headed people whom we had been discussing said that this is going to be transient. It's not going to be it's not going to be the only trend. There will be work from home, and there will be also working from office, and that is going to be the future. I was sort of upset seeing the entire literature and the hype around that, with the sort of response from some very level-headed industry leaders who said that, no, this is not going to be the future. They were very clear about that. There is quite a lot about hype about Gen AI and ML and all that. There is a process of transformation in the industry which will have to happen. There will be quite a lot of traditional segments which will remain, and there is a hype, there is a cycle. That we have to be realistic about that. So I think that when we are taking up things, we should not hype beyond a point, because that will also create a, wrong aspirational dividend, which would create a huge problem in terms of recruitment. I think it's a very valid point that she has raised, and I also realize now, having hyped around these concepts like working at home and all that, we find that the reality is not going to be that as things now stand. The same is going to happen regarding the Gen AI sort of projection. I'm not saying that, there is a cycle that has to happen.
Okay, with that I think we'll conclude this session. Thank you for this.
താങ്ക് യു സോ മച്ച്. മാഷ് എന്തായാലും വന്നു. അപ്പോൾ എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒരു പുസ്തകം നമ്മൾ കരുതിയിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പോൾ so these type of conversations doesn't exist, and what we are trying to do is to bring those non-existing conversations alive. അപ്പോൾ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി ഒരു സൈഡിൽ കാര്യങ്ങൾ സർവൈവലിൻ്റെ ഓട്ടത്തിലാണ്, നമുക്ക് കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്തു പോകണം, ശമ്പളം കൊടുക്കണം, ഈ കാര്യങ്ങളാണ് ഓട്ടം. ആൻഡ് അക്കാഡമിയ ഒരു സൈഡിൽ ദേ ആർ ആക്ച്വലി എങ്ങനെ മാറണം, എന്താണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, കിട്ടുന്ന അവൈലബിൾ റിസോഴ്സിനെ വെച്ചിട്ട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ തീരുമാനമെടുത്ത് മുമ്പിലോട്ട് പോകണം. ആൻഡ് മുമ്പിലോട്ട് പോകണമെന്ന് തീരുമാനിച്ചാലും it is a great struggle for them to get it approved and implemented and take it forward. So ആ ഒരു വെലോസിറ്റി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് വളരെ സ്ലോയിലാണ്. അപ്പോൾ as of now what we have brought in MuLearn is just like we have built something that everyone can come together, collaborate and work together. ഇത് ഇന്നയാൾ ഓൺ ചെയ്ത് എല്ലാവർക്കും വന്നിട്ട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ എന്താണോ മാറ്റം വേണ്ടത്, എന്താണോ കുറവെന്ന് പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ വി ക്യാൻ ഷുവർലി വർക്ക് ഔട്ട്. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് വൈ വി നെയിം ഇറ്റ് ആസ് പെർമ്യൂട്ട് ഓൾസോ. ഇറ്റ് കീപ്പ് ഓൺ അപ്ഡേറ്റിംഗ്. ആൻഡ് ഇന്നിപ്പോൾ അരുൺ സാറാണ് എന്തായിരുന്നു നമ്മുടെ MuLearn 3.0 ഡീസെൻട്രലൈസേഷനാണ്. ഓരോ ക്യാമ്പസും അതിൻ്റെ പേരുകൾ താഴേക്ക് ഇറങ്ങി അവിടുത്തെ അലൂമിനി നെറ്റ്വർക്കിനെ സ്ട്രെങ്ത് കൊണ്ടുവന്നിട്ട് ഓരോ ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ് ഗ്രൂപ്പിനെ ആക്ടിവേറ്റ് ചെയ്യണം എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു ആശയത്തിലേക്ക് നമ്മൾ മുമ്പിലോട്ട് പോകുന്നത്. നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഇയറിലേക്ക് ആക്ച്വലി we are not going to maintain a garden, it should be a forest. It should automatically scale by people taking it forward. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ ഇപ്പോൾ CET ആണെങ്കിലും ബാക്കി ഇനിഷ്യലി കുറച്ച് ക്യാമ്പസുകളിൽ മാത്രം ഒതുങ്ങി നിന്ന് ഏകദേശം 400-ലധികം ക്യാമ്പസിലേക്ക് MuLearn വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. ആൻഡ് ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി ഹാസ് ക്രിയേറ്റഡ് ഇറ്റ്. സോ ദാറ്റ് ട്രസ്റ്റ് ഷുഡ് ബി ദർ ഇൻ ദ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി ഓൾസോ. അത് ഇന്ന് സൈ സാർ പറഞ്ഞ വളരെ റിലവൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടൊരു കാര്യമാണ്. നിങ്ങൾ ചെന്നിട്ട് മാർക്കുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ ഹയർ ചെയ്യുള്ളൂ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു കാര്യം പറയുമ്പോൾ കുട്ടികൾ സ്കില്ല് ചെയ്യാൻ പോയിട്ട് കാര്യമില്ല. മാർക്കുണ്ടെങ്കിലേ ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂ അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ, പിന്നെയല്ലേ സ്കില്ല്. സോ ദേ ഹാവ് ടു മാർക്ക് വേണ്ട എന്നുള്ളതല്ല, പക്ഷേ അവർക്ക് ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂ അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിനൊരു അവൈലബിലിറ്റി, അവർക്ക് അതിനൊരു ആക്സസ് കൊടുക്കുക എന്നുള്ളത് തന്നെയാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ ടെക്നോപാർക്ക് ഉണ്ടാക്കിയിട്ട് ടെക്നോപാർക്കിനകത്ത് സ്റ്റുഡൻസിന് ആക്സസ് ഇല്ല എന്ന് പറയുന്ന പോലെ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിക്കകത്ത് കോളേജിനകത്തും വന്നിട്ട് അവിടേക്കും അവർക്ക് ആക്സസ് ഉണ്ടാവുന്ന സാധ്യത വളരെ കുറവാണ്. So give them access. That is one key thing that I want to ask. And second one, if GTech can take it forward, like have a list of companies who are willing to take. For example, CareCheck. I think CareCheck is taking without a mark alla avade nokkunnu, avade skill nokki thanne edukkunnu. CareCheck മാത്രമല്ല, it is not just like one company alone. ഇപ്പോൾ ഫൈലാണെങ്കിലും അങ്ങനെ തന്നെ there are a lot of companies that have came forward with that, and so there are certain companies who cannot do that because ക്ലയൻസിന് ആ റിക്വയർമെൻ്റ് ഉണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളത് കൊണ്ടാണ്. ക്ലയൻസിനോട് CGPയുടെ കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞു കൊടുത്തത് നമ്മൾ തന്നെയാണ്, അല്ലാണ്ട് അവർക്ക് അറിയില്ലായിരുന്നു, അവരെല്ലാം ചോദിക്കത്തുമില്ലായിരുന്നു. അപ്പം അത് നമുക്ക് സ്ലോലി ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്ത് കൊണ്ടുവരാനായിട്ട് പറ്റുകയാണ് എങ്കിൽ that is somewhere that we have to start with. And MuLearn will be listing the companies who are actually willing to take based on skills specifically. And അപ്പോൾ ഇത് രണ്ടാമത്തെ കാര്യം, ഇതിനകത്തൊരു ഫിനാൻഷ്യൽ സാധനമില്ല, എനിത്തിങ് ദാറ്റ് ക്യാൻ ഗോ ഫ്രീ. സോ അപ്പോൾ ചില കമ്പനീസിൻ്റെ ഒരു പ്രശ്നം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഞങ്ങൾക്കൊരു കോൺട്രാക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് ഇതിനകത്ത് കാശില്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ് അവരുടെ പ്രശ്നം. സോ അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് എന്താ ചെയ്യാന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, ലെറ്റ്സ് നോട്ട് ഇറ്റ് ഡൗൺ. നമ്മൾ കഴിഞ്ഞ പ്രാവശ്യം പ്രസിദ്ധ ക്യാബ് സിമ്പോസിയം നടത്തിയ സമയത്ത് എന്തൊക്കെയാണോ നമ്മൾ നോട്ട് ചെയ്തത്, ഇൻ്റർവെൻഷൻ ആക്ഷൻ മോഡലിൽ തന്നെ വന്നിട്ട് ഇപ്പോൾ 6 months ഇൻറ്റേൺഷിപ്പ് വി ക്യാൻ ചെക്ക് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ഡൺ. ദാറ്റ് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി ഹസ് സെഡ് ദാറ്റ് വി ആർ നോട്ട് ദ തടസ്സം ഫോർ ദാറ്റ്. ഞങ്ങൾ തടസ്സമില്ല, നിങ്ങൾ ചെയ്തോളൂ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് മുമ്പിലേക്ക് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. റൈറ്റ് നൗ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ഫോർ ദ കോളേജസ് ആസ് വെൽ ആസ് ദ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി ടു സീ ഹൗ വി ക്യാൻ അഡോപ്റ്റ് ദാറ്റ്. അപ്പോൾ അത് ഇന്നത്തെ ബ്രേക്ക് റൂം സെഷൻസ് എന്തായാലും നമുക്കിന്ന് ചെയ്തില്ല. ബട്ട് നെക്സ്റ്റ് HR വേൾഡ് ഇന്ന് ഏകദേശം 150ഓളം കമ്പനികളുടെ ഒരു കൺസോർഷ്യമായിട്ട് മാറി ഇൻ 1 year. ആൻഡ് ഐ റിയലി അപ്രീഷിയേറ്റ് ദ HR വേൾഡ് ടീം ഫോർ ഹാവിങ് ദാറ്റ് പെർസെവറൻസ്. അതായത് ഒരു മാസം പോലും മുടങ്ങാണ്ട് കഴിഞ്ഞ 12 മാസമായിട്ട് അവർ മീറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്, അവർ ഓരോ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചർച്ച ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. ആൻഡ് ഐ ഹോപ്പ് ലൈക്ക് ദാറ്റ് വുഡ് ബി ദ ട്രാൻസ്ഫോർമേഷണൽ ഫോഴ്സ് ദാറ്റ് വിൽ ആക്ട് ഇൻ ടെക്നോപാർക്ക്. ആൻഡ് താങ്ക് യു സോ മച്ച് ഫോർ ജോയിനിങ്, ആൻഡ് we will take it forward. Yeah.
So to express our gratitude to the respected panelists, I'll just call out the order. Deepu Chetta, can you give the books away? So the order is P. Unikrishnan sir. Sir. Okay. So, Jayashankar sir. Um, Jayashankar sir. Next is Jayashankar sir. Yes. Can we have a round of applause, please? Yes. Next is Prashant sir. Prashant bro. Yes. Thank you, sir. Srikumar sir. Siyat sir. And Adit. Adit, come on. Yeah. Thank you so much, respected panelists, for taking your very valuable time out for us. And this was an honor for HR Evolve as well. A lot of our people are here, our family members are here, and we aspire to take this entity forward and also the cause with which we work for. അപ്പം അതെല്ലാം മുമ്പോട്ടും നമ്മൾ സ്ട്രോങ് ആയിട്ട് തന്നെ മ്യൂലേണിൻ്റെ ഈ ഒരു റെസ്പെക്റ്റീവിൽ നിന്ന് പ്രത്യേകിച്ചും ബ്രേക്കിംഗ് ദി ഐസ് ഇൻ ഓർഡർ ടു മേക്ക് ഷുവർ ദാറ്റ് ദ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി കണക്ട് ഹാപ്പൻസ് and internships being valuably converted to a full-time employment എന്നുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം ഇനി അങ്ങോട്ട് നമ്മുടെ ഈ കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി ത്രൂ ഡ്രൈവ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും എന്നുള്ള പ്രതീക്ഷയോടുകൂടി ആത്മവിശ്വാസത്തോടുകൂടി താങ്ക് യു സോ മച്ച്.
അപ്പോൾ ഇതിനകത്തുള്ള ആക്ടിവിറ്റിക്കകത്ത് ദർ ഇസ് വൺ പോയിന്റ് വെനെവർ വി ഡു സംതിങ് ദർ ഈസ് എ ഫോളോ അപ്പ്. 1 year മുമ്പ് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയുടെ ഫോളോ അപ്പ് ആയിരുന്നു 6 months ഇന്റേൺഷിപ്പ് എങ്കിൽ ഇന്ന് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി വാസ് സീക്കിംഗ് സപ്പോർട്ട് ഫ്രം ദ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി. വി ഹാവ് കെയിം അപ്പ് വിത്ത് ദ 6 months ഇന്റേൺഷിപ്പ് പോളിസി ആൻഡ് ഓൾ ദോസ് തിങ്സ് ആൻഡ് ഹൗ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി ക്യാൻ സപ്പോർട്ട്. അപ്പോൾ നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഓരോ മാസവും HR ബോർഡിലേക്ക് വരുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഇന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ പോയിന്റ്സ് ഡിസ്കഷനായിട്ട് എടുക്കുക. And we can keep on updating. There will be an intervention action model that we will create and we can check it off. അല്ലേ HR എല്ലാവരും ഇല്ലേ ചെയ്യില്ലേ? Yeah, let's see how many companies can be part of that movement. Okay. Thank you so much, and I think, yeah. So എല്ലാവർക്കും breakout room sessions ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റാത്തത് കൊണ്ട് we just had a QR code here. There is a feedback form. That is where you can provide your suggestions that we can make the എന്താണ് നമ്മുടെ ആ ഒരു പേപ്പർ നമ്മൾ പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഔട്ട്കം റിപ്പോർട്ട് പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് യു ക്യാൻ ആക്ച്വലി വി ക്യാൻ ഇൻക്ലൂഡ് യുവർ പോയിന്റ്സ് ഓൾസോ. ആൻഡ് ഐ തിങ്ക് it's time for us to conclude because in 50 hours have to start. Okay, thank you so much, and I think
So before the 50 hours, we'll go for a tea break. Thank you.